You're watching the Hyperloops. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel to show your support. Thank you and enjoy the video. Hey everybody, we're back, the Hyperloops podcast. I'm Nick Cuenca, and I'm here with Honestly Sarcastic. Hey buddy, how you doing?
Hey everybody.
And we also have, we've stolen Kyle from ABG. There he is. Is that a mustache?
That's a mustache. I had a whole goatee going, and I shaved the bottom part off this morning, actually.
I was just looking at you. I wasn't sure if... Anyways. This
is what happens in quarantine. You just like grow your facial hair in weird ways.
Yes.
Dude, look at my hair. I'm going for my wife called it the Jose from Sesame Street or something. Like apparently there was some guy on Sesame Street that had my hairstyle, which is just a little swoosh, like old, like Justin Bieber, like first time. So trying to be pretty alone and in my apartment. But yeah, we're here, first podcast in a long time because we just got some stuff. What do you think of the stuff, Joe? We got so much stuff that we don't even know where to start.
There's a lot of stuff. We have some updates to the RG. We have the new Holocron standard format, and we actually have a new print and play set called Transformations. It actually looks pretty crazy overall, and you know, I'm kind of happy to see that they're finally doing stuff. I think going through the Holocron makes sense because we've talked about the Gandor Holocron on the website, and you know, for anyone who just kind of hasn't seen this stuff, we can go through it. Quick thing, they talk about the eligible cards, transformations, the restricted list, Abandoned Refinery got added to it, Chopper got added to it, Desperate Measures, Face the Enemy, Hidden Motive, a Trandoshan Hunter. This looks no different on that portion from the Gandor Holocron. So, you know, most of you guys that have already been playing that are happy to see it. On the Balance of the Force, though, we are seeing one differential. If you haven't noticed, the Trandoshan Hunters are not on the list. There was already prior discussion that Gandork and Jeremy didn't kind of agree on that. So, officially, we do not have that point to Trandoshan Hunter. What happens in events and whatnot, we'll kind of find out. But it's so far so good. It matches up pretty well. How do you guys feel about it? Kyle?
I mean, this is what we had before. Does the point change or the lack of a point change on Trandoshan Hunter really affect it that much? I think, the restricted list kind of hurt that 5-die villain deck enough.
So the only thing that happens to them is they lose Face the Enemy in Desperate Measures. So
you can't play two Hunters, right?
No, yeah, you can. No, you can. It's so you got you got to remember that like the cards that are restricted, like Delve, you could still run two Delves.
That's right. Yeah, you can still run two copies. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I actually asked Joe the same question.
Yeah, a lot of people did. It's okay. So yeah, it doesn't stop you from running two sets of Trandoshans together.
Okay, so that deck is still alive then if they don't get the point change.
Yeah. So you're like, I lost Face the Enemy and DM. Do I need those? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, Face the Enemy is a big loss, but
they're great cards, but you don't need them to run.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I would definitely play games, and they would play none of those cards, and I just fix all their dice, and it just felt really unfair. And I've been playing Dooku Kylo, and Dooku getting murdered 9 points. They're definitely gonna win the roll, take my battlefield, and murder Dooku in round one. It just makes the deck unplayable. But if you make them a 12, then you have to play a crappy battle droid to get red, and then it's a little more manageable.
Right. Yeah, and then we just never saw it at all in any of the tournament play from my perspective. But it's kind of a tough one to see.
It's hard to know whether or not it was actually maybe that deck was still fine, but a lot of people were just kind of sick of it and probably didn't want to try with the battle droid because that's not fun. Battle droid, you're not ooh yeah, I get to play this battle droid.
Yeah. Just a quick rundown for anyone that's listening in and didn't know about the Balance of the Force of the Gandor Holocron. It's Amilyn Holdo goes to 9-12, Anakin Skywalker 13-17, Asajj Ventress 12-15, Chewbacca 11-13, Dengar 10-13, Enfys Nest 13-17, K2SO 10-13, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the starter deck one 12-16, Sinjar Wrath Velas 12-15, Zuckuss 912. And the only other thing here is that Armored Reinforcement is switched to be a red vehicle support as opposed to any vehicle support. Rest of it stayed the same.
Yeah, and we didn't do a podcast when the Gandor holocron happened, although you did write a good article about it.
Yeah.
And we'll link that too, just because you talked about it. But I don't know. We had 1 month already of League play in the Artificer League where we saw some of these cards being played, but not a ton of them. Like the only real, all it did was make marginal decks so far of what we've seen. It made bet decks that were kind of bad because of Trandoshans. I think honestly, it made those decks more viable because you weren't getting your characters murdered so quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts about any of these, the Balance of the Force characters. If do you think? I think I have seen a lot of Anakin. I think people were excited to try Anakin, and I have played against him, and he seems fine. But I haven't. I don't know Chewbacca. I didn't see anyone play. We actually put a Dengar Kylo deck, but that's just more because of Kylo. But I think Dengar might be somewhat playable, and we saw the K2 SO Anakin. I think you also wrote an article about that, and that was I've actually played against that twice in League play, so I have seen it. I would I'll pop up. I don't know the lists of from the top 16. We can talk about that a little later, but yeah, I don't know what else we've seen. Like definitely no Sinjir, Rathvelis, and no one's played Zuckuss. So.
Yeah. So as a heads up, Quink, in case you didn't know, you're unless you got permission from the players, you can't post their deck lists.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
I won't.
Figured I'd let you know that. But
I won't say anything.
Any parting thoughts, you guys, on the holocron before we move away from this?
No.
All right.
That's so. Why? So I'm surprised that because we get to see them, right? If we're like in top 16 and all that stuff. Right?
Yes.
But aside from that, no one else can see
them. Correct. No one else can see them, and they're not supposed to be shared. So like the rationale there is just that like it was for the event. They're not supposed to be publicized. If someone keeps a copy of it, shares it with their friends, like no one really knows. But grabbing someone's list and then writing about it or doing whatever without permission is just
Oh yeah. No, I wouldn't even talk about specifics. It would be more like, oh, these were like the style of decks that.
Oh yeah, no, the lineups they're all streamed.
Yeah.
So like
exactly.
it's all fair game there. I just putting out the listing just in case.
Right. I can't imagine at this point people will be that upset about it.
I'd be salty. I'm still the only person playing droids.
All right, so here's Joe's 30 card list.
Yeah. For
the 50 people listening to us.
All right, I'm gonna put this at 400 podcast downloads. You guys want to take bets on this?
400. Oh yeah.
The Dollar Gentleman bet.
Yeah. Share this with all of your friends who have ever played Star Wars Destiny.
Yeah.
Please.
We're the only
ones. And please like and subscribe for more content like this.
You gotta do the forever fed at the end because that shit's glorious.
His voice, yeah.
He sounds like he's a school teacher talking to kindergarten. Now everybody, can you please just like and subscribe? Thanks.
It's like his infomercial.
It's beautiful. We got to get him to do ours. We should just get like all the known players from the old days to like put in those ones and we chop them in together for like that ending.
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right.
So, Kyle, do you have any thoughts about the holocron?
No, I mean everything. I like that it matches what we've been pretty closely matches what we've been playing on and deck building on. So there's not a massive swing from the current meta that people have been working on to this new list.
Now, do you think do we see a revolt maybe on the Trandoshan thing where people will be like, "No, I want it to be a 12."
I think people were kind of upset about how prevalent that deck was, right? So I could see people being pissed that it's not.
If we took a community vote, I would definitely vote for 12-point Trandoshan, 100%.
I think if there's a community vote, it would be play with what there was on the official. And then if Trandoshans is still really annoying and too terrible of a match, then we just push the 1 point thing and move on with life.
Yeah.
Like, there have been special tournaments where we're just like, no, you can't play droids. And, like you can't play
Right.
FN. FN's banned. Like, all right, like, there we go, whatever, done. So I think going official is probably what we'll likely see going forward. But if it's just out of hand, then they'll just, whatever. Here's a point adjustment. We don't care. Because, like, if not, people are not going to play when it's just Trandoshans running around. And even then, they struggled with, like, Raylo and certain decks in general in those matchups. Yeah. So, like, maybe we see that again. Like, I don't know why I haven't been seeing Raylo, like, at all. I don't know if people are just like, I'm not going to play that. But I also haven't really seen Palpatine. And I think it's just people deciding they don't want to play that. As opposed to, I want to, like, murder everybody and win.
I think people just want to play fun, new stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, like, if we do get Worlds, you will see the real decks, quote unquote. You'll see, like, the testing will be real, because everyone wants to be the last official world champ. I want to be the last official world champ.
For sure.
But yeah, let's move on to new cards, guys. I'm so excited! Oh my god.
Yep.
What do you got? We're gonna start from the top.
Yep.
Top
going down, and then so for the first explanation, just so you guys know, there's new cards called Parallels and Transforms. So Parallels will go and take a die from a pre-existing card. Example being the Anakin Skywalker you can see on the screen is Parallel Die Anakin Skywalker from Covert Missions 53, which is, the big Anakin that was 19 points and got reduced to 17. And that'll happen with several of the cards in here. But the other thing is Transforms. If you can see it a little bit, the numbering on this gentleman, Anakin Skywalker, is 1A. So the breakdown is that if a card doesn't have a point cost on the opposite side, you can only play it as its A side. If it has a point cost on the opposite side, then you can choose to play it as that instead when doing your deck building construction. If a character is elite before he flips, when he flips, it'll be elite. But you also set aside their dice. So, like, we'll get to it when we get to this Anakin, and I'll explain it. But Anakin Skywalker, Reckless 1, 10 health. He has the 1 melee, 2 melee, 4 melee for 1, shield resource blank. 12-15 for the cost. He's Parallel Die. The Anakin stated that after you activate this character, deal 1 damage to him and 2 damage to another character. Then, if that character was just defeated, flip this character.
He has 10 health, but BT dubs.
I thought I said that.
I don't think you said.
Swear to God, I said it at the beginning. You guys tell us on the podcast.
You might have said it at the beginning, but you didn't say it in the spiel. But yeah, that card seems ridiculous to me. I don't know what you guys think.
Getting a 4 melee for 15 points is very good.
Yeah. That's probably the points he should have been at regular. The ability scares the shit out of me. Because, like...
Well, the ability is absurd. Like, are you serious? Like, 2 damage? Like, we all know how good Kylo ability, but you guarantee it?
Yeah.
Like, what? They pass him down that crack pipe bet FFG.
The only concern there is that he does kill himself if he is 1 health. So 1 health, he's your only guy left. You swing and you die before anything else happens.
Yeah, but he flips into Vader and then he has 15 health, right?
No, if he died.
No, it's a then, right? So
then.
He dies before you flip.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I get that.
Yeah, but I was just saying in general. Like, there's no, like, go into the last round, I got 1 health, we'll be okay. No. Dead.
Oh, yeah. No, I just assume that you're going to murder, like, a small character flipping Darth Vader and be like, ha.
Yeah, way earlier. So here's the flip side. And sorry, that Anakin was hero. Flip side, Darth Vader, villain, 15 health. Points, 17, 21. 2 melee, 3 melee, 2 disrupt, 1 shield, 1 resource blank. His parallel is the Darth Vader from Awakenings. So this kind of brings back value to these old guys that just didn't have value anymore because you need their die again. Power action. Either remove all shields from a character or resolve 1 of your dice's melee damage, increasing its value by 1. If an opponent has a defeated character, you may do both in any order.
Yeah, that seems very good.
Yeah. Like...
Especially if it's 15 cost on your team.
Yeah.
If you got to smash up a bunch of things and then flip him, and you're just like, all right, let's go finish some guys off.
Yeah, and then you also had 15 points of something else.
Well, you don't gain the 15 health back. Or
No.
Yeah.
I mean, but you also
oh,
have
15
like
points.
you have
Don't know yet.
you have 15 deck building points
Well,
on top of
Did
that.
did either of you notice that it's not resolve one of your melee dice increasing it by one? It's resolve
Any
one of
dice.
your dice.
Yeah.
So like any other die. You got your
Oh
two
yeah, no,
disrupt,
I saw that.
3 melee. It's like
Oh yeah. Oh no,
Right,
I
it's
saw
not
that.
this character's character dice. It's any dice plus 1 melee.
It's like,
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm trying to think, like, you probably don't get anything big discards, but we definitely have big shield sides in Hero. We have some potential big disrupt sides. You know, my hired muscle hits you for any of the sides is +1 melee. They're all 2s and 3s. It's like, oh, God.
So, Joe, you're good with the rules. Maybe you know how this works, but when you activate Anakin and kill a character with him, and then you flip him immediately,
No, you don't
just
flip.
hit.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
No. He loses
If you
the
defeat a
dice. He
character,
loses the
you flip
dice.
him. You lose the dice, right?
Yeah.
So you just activated your Darth Vader character, and you just lose that activation to flip him over.
You lost the character dice, yeah, but the upgrade dice would still be in the pool.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, they did that on purpose. That's why his ability is so insane. Because if you do
Right.
the flip, it's not going to be kill a guy and keep his dice, and you're the Vader. Because the thing is, you have to lose the initial character dice you had, and you get these new ones on your character. So like that,
But you gain 5 health and a new power action.
yeah, gain 5 health. You had killed a guy in a power action that pumps the value by 1. So it's like, okay, whatever.
I just think that the dice get removed kind of lowers his ability a little bit. I mean, it makes him a little bit fair, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, no, I didn't realize that. That is a downside, but like, yeah, if you're, I'm assuming that your round 1 Anakin do 2, then round 2 Anakin do 2, and then if you kill the guy and then you get the power action, right? So at least you get like +1 because it's resolve one of your dice as melee, so it's any of your dice, so your other character's dice or whatever.
Yep.
You can resolve those +1, so at least you get like +1, which is, or maybe, oh no, if an opponent, oh, so here's like the synergy of the thing, right? Is you'll get to do both. You can remove all the shields, and you can.
Yeah.
So if they tank up one guy, you can just, all right, I'll +1 and then remove shields, so you can sometimes do like, 4 damage with that power action.
Yeah, the shield thing is kind of insane when you think about it from the perspective of just like no one's going to be able to shield up versus this Vader ever. Just no. And like that's it's a built-in intimidate that also resolved at the same time. It's a little disgusting.
It's pretty disgusting. Yeah. So what do you Kyle, what do you think of the design of using old dice for new cards?
I like it because I think a lot of people were just kind of getting rid of Awakenings dice. They weren't keeping them. It's rotated out if you were still playing Standard. So, having an actual use for all these dice that we have, like I have bins of in my basement, is really good. I think it's a good use of an existing thing to kind of make a new card with a new dice, even though it's an old dice.
Yeah, I like it from the collectible standpoint. It completely obliterates some of the people who didn't play during the old sets.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't own these Darth Vader dice, so like if I ever wanted to play this in a tournament, I have to go find them, and I assume they would be maybe not expensive, but harder to find than some of the other dice.
Well,
some of those sets are actually kind of, you see them a lot. Well, I used to see them like months ago, like super cheap. I don't know now with the COVID. You could see those boxes for like $40 or $50.
Sure, but
I
forget.
actually have a box of Awakenings in my basement that I never opened that I probably now have to crack to see if I got some of these legendaries.
So here's the thing, though, right? One, do you go and buy all these old cards that are like $3, $2 to get these dice before they go back up? Because like that goes up if we ever play anywhere. That's speculation, and you know me, I love speculation. But the big thing is just like, imagine if this guy actually came with this die, what would this guy be worth? So if his value would have been good, then the other Vader's value is now equivalent to this guy because you only cared about the die.
Right.
So this like $5,
Right,
$7,
and
$10 Vader could be a $30 Vader now because you need the stupid dice. And then trying to crack backs for him or boxes on some old archaic set that doesn't exist. Whoever's sitting on old boxes now is like, maybe this will be worth money.
Yeah, I've got at least one box of Awakening somewhere.
I got packs of Awakening, not boxes.
Yeah. Well, I have like a box that's like probably half full.
But
So.
that guy scares me. I think that Anakin should have a decent shot at flipping like every opening on round 2.
Yeah.
And like, sure, if he loses a die, that's fine. But the opponent lost a character probably, or sorry, they did lose a character. And then it's just like, how far behind are they because of that? Even if you lost your 2 dice, you still got the 2 damage in.
Now, how do you feel about the Vader as just a villain card?
That one's tough because like 2 disrupt I think is really really good. No pay sides. The 21 points might just be too much though.
He doesn't have that self protection that Terror to Behold has that makes him so good.
Yeah, he's missing the additional damage side, but technically he's actually sitting on the equivalent to like what each of his dice being half of a die. Half of an additional point when you think of it as damage. Like the resource is about even, but like 2 damage from the shield, 3 damage from the disrupt. That's like a really good die. You get kind of screwed by mitigation, but not even the. It's like the second mitigation, and even then you still get the damage pump on any of your other guys. So it's just like you won't use the PA unless it's hitting 2 shields probably. I think it seems good. I don't see myself playing him for 21 points. Losing the additional character die for the attachment is going to be, I think, too brutal.
Yeah, and I'm worried about now. I think I sold those Anakins, so I need to go buy them. So we'll see how that works.
Indeed.
So yeah. So how do you guys feel about flip cards in general?
I think they're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
This is something they could only do in the print and play format. Because unless they gave you 2 of the dice. Well, actually, I guess these would have just been parallels anyways. Without the parallel, it would have been ridiculous. Because then you're like, which die do I get? Am I trying to get each of the pieces of?
Oh my god, that would be a real chase card then, finally, right? Like if you had to get 4 or like the right 2 copies of each.
Or they were like 1A, 1B, so you had to get 2 of them and then put them in one sleeve that was see-through like a jerk.
That would be real jerky.
It's a beautiful thing though. But yeah, so if you only pay 12 points for this Anakin, and then he flips, you still only get to keep 1 die for the Vader. So just something to keep in mind if you're trying to go cheap on him. But even at 12 points is probably where he's ridiculous still. He's doing all the poking and then flips over, and you don't care as much that you lost that die, right?
Yeah. You have the ridiculous power action and you have 15 point.
Yeah.
Well, he'd probably be like, whatever it is, 13 health at that point or 12 health at that point.
Yeah, 12, 13. But
he is a Jedi. He is a Jedi leader.
Yeah.
I guess it's good.
Yeah, but if you run Admiral and then he flips, you can't Admiral anymore. He lost the leader part. It's brutal.
You can't play it on him anymore, yeah.
Regular, yeah. You can still UR in command. But I think we should speed it up a bit. We'll go into the next one. Yep. So after that, we've got Luke Skywalker, Seeking the Path. 9 health. This is 2A. His point cost is 912. He's the parallel die for Luke Skywalker number 2, which was the starter deck, right?
Yeah.
From Legacies. Yep. So 1 ranged, 2 ranged, 1 melee, 1 shield, 1 resource, blank. Team up 1, and that's what we forgot to talk about team up. If you have any of these characters in your character lineup, each of those characters will have a reduction in cost equal to the team up number. So in this situation, it's team up 1, and the characters are Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda. So if you had both of them in the team, they would each get -1. After the upkeep phase begins, if this character has 3 or more shields and 3 or more blue upgrades with dice, you may spend 2 resources to flip him. His flip is 15 health, and then the parallel die for that is Luke Skywalker from Awakenings. So 2 melee, 3 melee, 1 focus, 1 shield, 1 resource blank. Hero for this one, for both of them. Power action, either give this character 2 shields or remove 2 shields from him to deal 2 damage to a character. If this character has 3 or more blue upgrades, you may do both in any order. And he's 1720 for this. 2 shields every round is so good, I think. I'm not sure how much I like the die, but 2 shields, baby.
Yeah, 2 shields is is obviously gross, and it's being able to do like, oh, I have shields, and I take 2. But I am worried about the requirement to flip him, and I don't know if at 1720 you can just straight up play Luke Skywalker fulfilling his destiny, because that requirement's super steep.
It's the same as the Jedi Trials, right? Or similar to Jedi Trials, anyway.
Yeah, the 3 shields, 3 blue. The other one's 3 blue abilities.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have a little bit of wiggle room, but 3 shields, 3 blue upgrades, and you have to spend 2, which if you're flipping him, you're fine doing, but still, I don't know. I don't obviously I don't like this card as much as Anakin.
Yeah, the upkeep phase thing's a little hard too, because you have to have the shields at the end of the round. So if an opponent ever has like a damage showing, you'd have to have a shield to go after, and then like maybe let them claim or do something. And then I want to say upkeep, you've probably already got your 2 resources. I actually can't remember where it is. I think we're in the action phase, so upkeep may let if it lets you get the 2 resources to start the round first, then like that's fine. You could pay the resources and just flip him and have some crazy thing going on with the additional 6 health. 15 health for 20 points, though, it's probably fine. Like, you can do Elite Satine here and probably not feel bad. You'll get the resources, you get the focus.
I do think that the Luke, if he's going to see play, I see him being a single die. Because you can get the reduction on both Obi-Wan and Yoda. And then, you have a 9-point kind of chode that isn't really that good, and they're like, all right, well, I'm gonna start putting my stuff on him. And you can put all the redeploys, and they'll be like, all right, well, I should probably kill him, because then you get super duper power action from Luke Skywalker. So I think that'll be pretty interesting when he's at single die.
Yeah. So what is it? All right. So let's go to the Obi, because if we talk about the Obi quick, it'll be easier to talk about Yoda 1. So Obi Kenobi, 10 health, no die, 912, character Jedi Guardian. After this character is defeated, return him to play flipped and ready. Action, spot another blue character to remove a die showing damage. Defeat this character, and if he is elite, remove up to 3 dice. The flip side is actually the parallel die with the one with the Force from Awakenings. And if the support would leave play, set it aside. Power action, give a blue character 1 shield and reroll any number of its character and upgrade dice. Its die sides are 3 range, 2 focus, 3 disrupt, 2 shield, 2 resource. That was a lot to say. So if you go there with 9-point Kenobi, 9-point Luke, it'll reduce the Kenobi by 1, make him 8. So it'll be 17. You'll have 13 left to fit an actual Yoda 1 in the team. So cool. If you're trying to do that, you're trying to do that. But Kyle, any thoughts on this stuff?
I think that elite cost is insane to just remove 3 dice once, right? Like, I guess you might play a plot that does that for 3. It just seems crazy.
And your opponent will probably play around it.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting a Obi-Wan Kenobi Spirit seems really good. That dice is really nice. I don't know. I just think that this team up seems weak compared to what you would get from like Anakin Vader above it, which is like the comparable thing.
I will say that you can do some funky stuff against like Mill, where you're just like, all right, I'll remove my own die, and if he's elite, then I'll remove 3 of your dice that have discard sides or whatever. So, because like this card's obviously like, I think it's like probably not good against like a Mill deck, and I think Mill's probably going to be a force in the metagame still. So I just think I don't love this Obi. I think it's like a single. It's not even single die, like non-elite Guardian version, 10 health, like Guardian again in aggro. That's actually pretty good. Like, and you can just save your action until like, he's about to die, and be like, all right, that's pretty good value. I think like it's worth thinking about. And then you get the, if you consider the single die Obi-Wan Spirit, I always liked that card a lot. It was kind of slow, but getting a free shield every turn is pretty sweet.
And you save a card.
And you save a card, and you have that die is like pretty insane. on the Obi-Wan Kenobi spirit.
Yeah, I actually don't remember it having a 2-resource side, but I know it definitely does because they wouldn't have printed it that way. But it's like, man, if we had this nowadays, people would be horrified. It's like, oh. This reminds me of like a cracked out hired. It's a hired muscle. Or no, it's not a hired. It's like a. It's not a entourage either. I lied. I'm just gonna shut up now.
All right,
It's tough to spend 9 deck building points on a diceless character, even though it turns into this dice. I don't see that working out well for you because they're clearly going to target him last, even though he has Guardian. And I know you can kill him yourself, but then you're giving up 9 deck building points just to get Obi-Wan Kenobi's spirit.
Yeah, he has the Guardian though, so I think your plan is to just try to Guardian for 2 or 3 rounds, to save off Luke and then flip him after probably the third Guardian or something.
Right.
And then just push in because Luke does need the 3 shields, and the Obi Kenobi spirit does at least give a shield. So each round that you're doing it, you're kind of getting 1 health back. So if you eat 4 damage, and then kill him to eat another die, so you stop like 6 damage, and then you get a shield. He's done 7 at that point, and then for each round after you're still alive, you're equating much closer. If you get to stop for 3 or 4, I think that's where you're looking at like the big gains.
Getting the value and
yeah. Plus, any indirects is going straight onto him.
That's for sure. Yeah.
And also he will cost 8 instead if you're playing.
That's true.
So I mean, it's a little. I get your point. It's interesting. I think it's an interesting printing of a card, and it's very flavorful, which I enjoy.
Yeah. So Elite Luke, 1 die Obi, and Elite Satine. It's like you have the other one, but you didn't start the game with the guy. It's like, wait, why wouldn't I just want 15 health and to be safe the whole game? Shh. Be quiet. You don't need to start with an Obi. Yeah, so that's what it is, right? Like, if you just start with Luke and Satine, you don't get this 4-resource Obi Kenobi spirit, and you don't have to do this crazy thing to flip over. So do you want to go through all that stuff to get a free Obi-Wan Kenobi spirit, or do you just want to start with the Luke Skywalker flipped?
I wonder if this Luke has applications with other versions of Obi-Wan more than this one, right? Because it doesn't say specifically which one you get to play it with.
Yeah. So there's the 16-point Obi. He would become what?
Yeah, 12, 16. So you could even play him at 1 dice for 11 and get Elite Satine, which is interesting to me.
Oh, 1/1 and then Elite Satine.
Well, you can also play. You can play the other Jedi Master, and then that'll be 18. So you can play Luke Skywalker Jedi Master, right? The one that gives a shield. The one that gives a shield every turn. You put a shield on Luke. Woo!
I feel like he was already reduced by a point, but I'm probably wrong.
Oh, was he?
No, he's still 19. Yeah.
Okay. So then, yeah, you could do that. I don't know how I feel about that.
It doesn't seem like broken, but it does seem something. It is something you can do.
It's not better than R2D2.
No. You can run him with actual Anakin. Just be like, this will be fine. We give you some shields.
And then he flips into Darth Vader, and it's confusing.
And you get a 3-point plot. Yeah. You have Vader and flip both Vader and Luke Skywalker. Which one are you going to go for? Are you going to go for this Luke trying to pick up 3 upgrades? Or are you going to go for the Anakin that's killing things and flipping into a Vader? Oh,
that's interesting.
The horror. Okay.
Yeah, you want to move on to the Sweeper Droid Infiltration.
Sweeper Droid Infiltration. It's a plot. The first cost for the plot is 3. The second cost for the plot is 5. Yeah, elite plots, guys. You heard it here first. After setup, if this plot is elite, add an additional copy of it to your team. You're like, what? Action. Play an event from your hand to reroll a die. Then flip this plot. So this plot has no other additional subtypes. The first side. Second side is Demolition Droid. Plot, bomb. Action. Play a non-event card from your hand to deal 1 indirect damage to an opponent. If 2 or more bomb plots are in play, you may set them all aside and deal 4 indirect damage to an opponent. If you do not, flip this plot. So it's a very interesting card. You get like extra value off of your flip events, and then you can get indirect by playing non-events if you have it flipped properly. 3 cost, 5 cost. I don't know. How do you guys feel about this?
You can go ahead, Kyle. I'm thinking about it.
So the only comparable plot to me is the one that deals 3 indirect, right at the start of the game.
It's 2 indirect. Preemptive strike. Cost 3.
Yeah,
though.
so 2. So from 3 going up to 5, because otherwise I don't think you play this at 3, because then you're just dealing. You're getting to reroll a die and then deal 1 indirect damage
Each round?
right each round. Whereas if you play it for 5, you get this extra bomb at the end that deals the 4. So for 2 extra deck building points from preemptive strike, you're getting at least 3 more indirect damage for it. So that seems okay. It's a lot of deck building points to deal kind of a weak amount of indirect damage, though.
Well, if you have enough events and permanents, you can just flip back and forth. So like flip, re-roll a die, flip, deal 1 indirect to you, back over, event, flip it again, re-roll a die, and it's not your die, so you can use it as harassment.
So it's not terrible at 3.
I think at 3, it'll do indirect every other time it's every other turn, right? No.
No, 1 turn.
No, it's just an action.
Each rotation. So like you have to go event,
okay.
event permanent, pretty much. So
that's actually interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to exhaust it, so
Right. Yeah.
you can just do it as many times as you want.
Right. I was thinking as it once per round, but yeah. So if you or once per turn, I mean, so if you can do that multiple times in a turn, if your hand works out right, that could be pretty good.
Yeah, actually, at Elite, it does seem like it could be pretty disgusting because you get 2 of them, right? So you're
Right.
just like,
and you may blow it up to deal 4, so you could harass
right,
a whole bunch with that.
And then
just
blow up
like-
at the end.
harass, indirect. It does seem kind of like you might do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
I definitely want to play with it.
The only concern is that the elite portion is actually, like, in actuality, only giving you the 4 indirect and a bit of freedom to have both abilities available at the same time. Because the rationale is that because 1 could flip back and forth multiple times, having 2 just means you'll decide whether to flip like preemptively or whatever's going on. So like a bit more flexibility in the ordering.
Or if you get stuck with like all events or all supports, upgrades, whatever, it helps.
I think
you have to flip either way though, so you still only get to do the one thing.
But if you have 2 and like 2 events, you can still use the plot, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, but wait, if you have 2 events and 2 support, let's say 2 supports, you could use the same one flipping back and forth. And if you did it with 2 of them, it would still end up in the same position.
Yeah,
it only does.
It adds nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of only gets there if like you then have 1 in the flipped position and 1 in the other way. So like the one on each side, so that no matter which way you want to sequence things, initially you'll be fine. Whereas you might have to preemptively like play a permanent to flip it so that you could play an event because you don't have removal to mess with the die that's about to get focused, or so like freedom on sequencing, and then the 4 indirect's all I really see. But like 5 points is a lot.
Yeah, I think I come back to 5 points being a lot, and I think you do have to build. You have to build around this card because you have to play events and non-events, which most decks do. But you kind of want to play cheap things of all those and like 0-cost events that like draw you cards. I don't even think that those cards exist in Standard, so I'm not super hyped about this card, but I do want to try it and think about it because cards that can draw cards, I think, will make this better. And another thing about it is, once you have the 5 points being a lot is a lot because indirect damage decks generally want to like leverage high life totals, and only having 25 points of health to use this card with is just going to be. It's probably not going to be enough. You're probably just going to get raced.
Yeah.
Oh.
The other part.
Villains. Does Villains have a card that like lets indirect damage go to 1 character?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not Villain, so you don't get those shenanigans.
Yeah, it's not here. Yeah, it's not hero, so you don't have the card.
Target acquired.
So
yeah.
Yep.
All
right. Do you want to move?
Yeah.
Do you want to move on to sending the troopers, or do you want?
Yeah, that's fine. I think I could see play as a 3 cost. I think 5 is stretching. And you just have to have been like, I want to do these 2 characters. I didn't want any other plot, and this indirect was going to make the most sense. Tarkin or something like that. Because like if you go Tarkin with 5, you have 9 points left. Like that's real brutal. We're talking you needed like a 12 and a 3, and that's just it's a little too tight of a number to to kind of work with. But I think for 3, you could definitely see this because you could hit 2 indirect in that first round. With solid sequencing, you play with like Afra or something. It's like, okay, crash landing, re-roll this other die because I hate you, flip this thing. Okay, here's my 1-cost droid. Deal an indirect to you, flip it back over. Here's another event to cantrip off of. Okay, flip this other die and mess with you. It's back over. And like I think in that situation we could see like kind of crazy stuff go down with her going through parts of her deck and like getting a bunch of indirect. But I think Elite we're probably just not seeing that.
Yeah, I think Afro's probably because Afro you do get to draw cards like a lot of them. So yeah. I mean, that was where I was thinking. Right?
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
You could just do Afra, Grievous, Sentinel with 3-cost plot, and that's
one of each.
3 dice. Yep, 3 dice, but
3 dice rainbow, good to go.
Yep.
So next we have actually a 4-part kind of flip card. It's called Send in the Troopers. So it has an A, B, C, and D side. I'm going to read the effect, and then I'll explain how the rule works with it, because it's kind of wonky until then. So Send in the Troopers. It's a 4-cost red hero plot. Action. If you control the battlefield and 5 or more dice in your pool are showing damage, force an opponent to name a character. Then flip this plot. If they did not name this character, make it Elite. So at the beginning of the game, you get to decide which Send the Troopers you're playing. The base concept here is that you would have like 3 of them. You'd have, one that flips into B, one that flips into C, and one that flips into D. Your opponent wouldn't be able to tell by looking at the name on the card, so you don't have to like hide anything additional. And then here are the cards. Arc Trooper 5s, 9 health. None of these guys have dice. Character Trooper. After you activate this character, roll a Clone Trooper from, I think that's Legacies, die into your pool, or 2 Clone Trooper dice instead if this character is Elite. After a Clone Trooper die is rolled into your pool, you may re-roll it. If you control the battlefield, you may re-roll it again. Arc Trooper Echo. After you activate this character, if it is Elite, you may roll a character die on a character into its controller's pool. If you control the battlefield, you may roll a character die on a character into its controller's pool. I know there's a lot to say on that, but it's essentially if you have like an unactivated guy or an activated guy with resolved dice, you can roll the die back in. So if you have 2 of them going, you could roll 2 in. If you have the battlefield plus Elite, you can get 2. If you don't have the battlefield and not Elite, you don't get nothing. Clone Commander Wolf, 8 health. Echo was 8 health too, in case I missed it. Character Leader Trooper. After you activate this character, you may roll a Clone Trooper die into your pool and activate one of your red characters. If this character is Elite and you control the battlefield, spot any number of unique red characters to deal that much indirect damage to an opponent. Okay, one of you guys go. I'm breathing.
Well, I think it's super cool. The flipping of it just seems tough, right? If you control the battlefield and 5 or more dice in your pool are showing damage, force an opponent to name a character, then flip the spot. If they did not name this character, make it Elite. So 5 dice showing damage is pretty brutal with cards like Easy Pickings rolling around, because I think that I guess you don't necessarily need to play this with like Clone Troopers, right? It could just be 4 cost and then play some random, 26 points worth of damage dealing dice. So that's good at least. As far as the naming of the plot, naming of the character, I find that super interesting because it's just like, what level are you on, man? Like, are you gonna play the good one? Are you gonna play like the bad one? Like, so yeah, that I find super interesting, and even though they're not, they don't have dice, they kind of do have dice, right? Like, yeah. So that's my take on it. I don't know how good it's gonna be. It does seem interesting. I just find it hard to be able to get 5 damage dealing dice consistently, like round 1 and round 2. It's like, yeah, you got this thing, but plus 8 health. Yeah, now I'm thinking about the amount of health you get for 4 costs. That's like quite a bit. So you either get 8 or 9 with 5s. And I haven't thought about which of these guys is better. The indirect damage guy seems like nuts. If best case scenario, like that seems like it could be brutal, but the one that rolls in 2 dice also seems like pretty nutty.
Yeah, Echo being able to roll in like your 19-point potentially elite character
Yeah.
again seems very good.
Yeah. The only issue with that is this, right? Is that your opponent knows what your lineup was to start. And you're like, here's a big Yoda and this like 8-point red guy. And you're just like, yeah, I'm going to call Echo because I don't care if you have either of the other two. You're not getting an elite Echo. And then it's like, oh, man. And like, what do you do from there? What if you just don't have the battlefield? You're like, Echo does nothing even if you got him there because you need battlefield.
You would get 1 dice instead of 2. But
No,
yeah.
none. Because if I call Echo and it was Echo, he's not elite.
Yeah.
So you miss the first part. And then if you don't have the battlefield, you miss the second part as well. So then it's like, all right, that's brutal. So am I going to hide Wolf under there? And it's just like, okay, he auto gets the 1 clone trooper die, okay. But then it's activate one of your red characters and deal equal to the number of red uniques. So, like, he could get one for himself. That's probably a strong one to push for himself. Do you want to go multiple red characters so you can try to get 3? Like, I don't know about that. What do you want to do here? And then, like, Fives is cool. Fives is probably the one that would like stick there the most, and you're just like, well, I can't play against Echo, so screw this. Here's 2 clone trooper dice, and you can re-roll them as much as you want. So I don't know. I think it's cool.
Well,
I think 4 points is a lot.
Yeah, I think that the issue is just getting 5 damage dice. If you pick like a big fatty, like a 19-point character, like Yoda, like where the hell are you getting all those damage dice? Like, you have like 20. You have that's like 23 points if you do Yoda, and you have 7 points for like, I don't know, someone.
Yoda's 18, so 28. 22,
yeah.
22.
22. So you get 8. You get like 1 more die. That's like you're starting with 3 damage dealing dice, and you got to like pay 2. It's just, it seems pretty steep for that. Like, I think they want you to go wide, and I think you're gonna have to go wide. Like play. 26, like play 2 elite characters for 26.
Yeah. Do like a what? 2 13s, a 15 and a 11, something like that. 14,
Yeah,
12.
like that.
But even then, it's just like 4 dice, all damage sides. Opponent didn't mitigate anything. Was I gonna crush my opponent this round anyways? Like, how do you feel about easy pickings, guys? Oh no, I gotta walk into it. Please don't.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this deck just cries that they're playing against a yellow hero deck. Like it just seems like unwinnable because you're down 4 points. And you're probably never gonna flip your plot. So. Or like if they play like into the garbage chute or some stuff like that, you're just like, oh.
What do you guys think about playing any of these without playing the plot? Like, I could see playing Echo and just going all in on one big character.
I do not like Echo, just because the battlefield thing. Like, you have no you won't have the die for winning the battlefield roll off. So
you'll have 2 shields.
Yeah.
For sure.
So then it's like, if he's not elite, you don't get to get a die out unless you steal the battlefield first.
Well, you would just play him elite, obviously, if you're going to play him as a card.
Correct, but then you're paying 11 for 1 copy of 1 die on one of your other guys, and if that guy dies, where are you at? If you have 2 guys, you're still like, why am I doing this to myself? I think 5
really have that like big character that's worth giving up 11 points to get the extra dice for anyway.
No, because if not, Bib Fortuna might have done work at some point in its life. I think 5s though is really good as an 11-point elite. It tries to fight Imperial Death Trooper. It's an elite clone trooper. Each of its die can be re-rolled once. So you roll in your 2 clone trooper dice, you can re-roll them. If you have the battlefield, you can re-roll it again. And you're just like, this is fine. Like, you can go double of him. Oh no, he's unique. Never mind. I was gonna say double of him and somebody else. Like we're playing Trandoshans now. It's like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe you do like elite. No, you can't even do elite him and run send in the troopers because then it's a 50-50 on the opponent's side. Which one do you have?
Right. Unless they kill him before you flip, but then you're probably not flipping because you can't get the 5 dice.
No, you're not allowed to have the plot with the flip if you are playing the character because it's unique. So like you weren't allowed to play the AC ARC Trooper 5s if you did it that way.
Gotcha. That's in the rules reference?
That's in the rules, yeah.
Yeah, Wolf just seems kind of bad now that I'm thinking about him because you need like other. you need like at least 2. If you like have 2 other red uniques, then that does 3 if he's elite. So you have to spend like 11 on him alone if you're gonna play him straight up.
Yeah. So
and then that's like you could do that, I guess, but then that I don't know.
Yeah, and if not, you're just playing a clone trooper without the clone trooper ability, but he's a leader.
Yeah, I mean he is a leader, but it's like it's 19 points for, and he has like 1 die, and I guess in theory, if you're running 2 other unique reds, then that's the third. Another die being 3 indirect damage. That's pretty good.
You know, just realized is that if you run elite like the 3 of them, so like elite wolf, elite 5s, and a regular echo has no ability because you don't have any dice to roll in.
Oh wow.
I lose the battlefield rolled off immediately to everything, including Ewoks, and I can't do anything.
There might be I forget exactly how many red hero steal the battlefield cards there are. But if you could play like, I don't know, I know there's like 1 for sure.
I think there's at least 2.
There's a 0 cost one that's just spot a trooper.
Yep.
That's neutral.
Okay.
Yep. And
there's
also the removal one that Pyre runs, but I don't know if that's villain. It's like if you don't control the battlefield, take control of the battlefield.
Yeah.
And re-roll a die. If you do control the battlefield, remove a die. But I think 4 points is a lot. I think there could be some crazy support based deck maybe that just gets resources and is like, all right, I had a couple of damage sides and now I have stuff showing, but like that doesn't fit in droids. It costs too much.
Yeah, Arc Trooper just seems. Arc Trooper Echo just seems like, man, it's rough. It's rough. I mean, I like that idea of trying to get like a big boom boom die in there. But yeah, the battlefield thing and like having it be elite, and you're like you made a really good point about, or like, okay, they have a big guy, they're probably playing Arc Trooper Echo, but then the level you're just like, aha, it's not him, it's this guy.
It's 5s because I wouldn't play this wolf guy probably. It's like, okay, whatever. Like
you could bring you were saying that you can bring all 3 to the game, right? So if you're like in a best of 3, you can switch it up in the middle of the game.
Yeah, each game you get to choose. At the beginning of the game, you get to pick which send in the troopers you're running. So like, let's say these were real cards, you'd have them like face down and decide one, and then put one like on the field, and then hide the other 2 away.
Yeah, I'll just be like, here, I'll put it face down. Like, you choose face down. Like, you keep like with a backing, right? And you're like, all right, I don't even know what it is. I'm not. 33% chance.
That's the mind game, and then they're all the same guy, so your opponent never knows that.
That's great. I love that.
So that they're trying to guess random.
Yeah, I definitely want to try this card just for mind games alone.
It's too much there. It's too much, man.
Now, are you able to look at your character in the middle of the game?
I'd assume you can look at your plot.
If you remember, you're like, fuck with that.
But realistically, like, you might put it in an opaque sleeve so your opponent can never see it by accident. Because if you flashed it, that would be so bad.
Right. I guess you could look at your outside cards, right, and be like, all right, who do I have here? Okay, it's the other guy. All right, we're good.
The best one would be where you put a guy down and you never looked, so then you're ready to flip and you're like, call it, and then it'll be like Echo, and it's like, haha, it's Wolf, flip, Echo, what? What are you doing here? I didn't put you there. The little elves changed it. But, all right, we should probably go on to the next one. 53 minutes strong. It's beautiful to hang with you guys, but I don't know if people love us that much. All right, closing in, another 4-cost plot. This time, villain. Team up 1, each unique bounty hunter. After you deal melee or range damage to a character with a bounty on it, you may exhaust this plot and flip it to attach it to that character. Flip side, 0 cost, captured, downgrade bounty. If this downgrade would leave play, set it aside instead. Attached character cannot be activated. Action. Give the player that controls this downgrade 1 resource to flip it. Any player may use this ability. So, a couple things to note here. The player controlling it should be the player that initially played it. Otherwise, your opponent would always just take a resource for free from you and then beat your face in. So, yeah. The thing here with it being 4 and the team up 1 is that you could play this with 14 cost Boba and Django because they would each be 13, and then you would fit closing in. And this would give you access to put a bounty on a guy, smash the guy, flip the closing in onto him, and then they have to give you a resource to take it back off. And it did exhaust itself, so you don't get to resolve another damage and then put it back on him. The other people that's working with, like Asajj and New Dengar, they're 15 and 13. So if you put them together, 28 makes -2, 26 plus the 4. Any thoughts on this, guys?
I mean, that card seems really good just as like a card you play, right? Can you just play it like captured? And if you're just like, okay, I'll put it on your guy. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just give you 1 money, and now I have 1 money left, and you have 3, and now you have this. I'll still have to deal with it later.
Yeah, it's just the thing is you have to deal the damage to the guy while he already has a bounty to do it.
No, but can't you just play this as like a card in your deck?
Oh, as captured, yeah. No, because it doesn't have a team building cost. You have to play it as the A side.
Oh, really? You're right. Yeah, that's what it said.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You can't play a card as the B side as itself unless it has a team building cost. They did that specifically so you couldn't just play like I Will Not Turn or We Stand Alone, which we'll get to in a bit.
Okay.
Has to start as
That's
the A side.
good with print and play, so you can't have just one like printed card in your deck while you're playing with 28 or 29 other cards that are real.
Yeah. I never considered it as that. That's reasonable. Got to get them these printed out paper sheets, right?
Yeah,
the official stuff.
Star Wars CCG does that.
Yeah.
Some people would have like printed out little papers in their decks.
Templates.
Yeah.
So I'd say like one thing this does is like those decks tended to struggle to put additional bounties on guys to get the big pumps from oh my god, I can't remember the event that deals damage for each bounty on the guy.
Yeah, it's got both that on it.
Yeah. Something. Resolve a damage and like pump for each bounty on your guy.
Yeah.
And like just harassing the opponent's very good. If your opponent tapped out and you get to like sneak this on a guy in time, that's kind of disgusting. Or they go into the next round with it, so then they have to like throw it back to you. Them holding it until the next round is a little brutal. Actually, no, it's irrelevant at that point. So it exhausts itself when you do the closing in portion. But like, let's say it stays on the guy through the round, they go into the next round. They would have to pay the resource. You'll have it back as closing in, and now if you can deal a damage to that guy, you could like tap it and then put the captured back on him. So you could kind of like sneak it around and throw it between guys. I think the plot reads really well, and I would probably consider playing it over a lot of the other options available, like by any means necessary, which really just eats one of our dice and deals an unblockable. Deals 2 if they have 3 bounties on them, just because like I think the taking a resource from someone is just really good.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, you get to force them to give you a resource. I think. I actually don't know how that works. Because this says any player may use this ability.
Yeah, so it's actually in the rules reference, I think. You can do it yourself to turn it back into a plot if you want.
Correct, but do you give a resource to yourself or do you make them give you the resource?
You give yourself a resource.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So basically just like at will, you can turn it back into the plot if like you don't want it on that character for some reason anymore. Was how I was reading.
You're about to kill it.
Yeah, they're about to die. Yeah, I guess that's something.
Okay, that's fine. I was thinking, like, could you just steal the resource from them? Because you're like, haha, I'm a jerk.
Well, it does make Hunt Them Down much better. That way you always have a plot, pretty much. You'll always have a downgrade if you play the plot. Which I guess.
Well, you need the first downgrade. Yeah.
To do this, yeah. You'll always have 2 if you have 1.
Right. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, you do need the.
But if you do
go ahead.
okay,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, to get it on them, they have to have the bounty already. But it does give you, if you end up killing it off on someone, like Boba Fett, you could, like, crack it. Boba Fett will get the trigger for his extra die off of it, which can be, real strong. So, like, there's a lot of usage there. I actually like this card. Doesn't seem broken, but I would probably cry if I had ever tried to spend my resources and then they, like, snuck it onto my guy. I'd be like, oh, shit. Like, I got blown out. Like, what do I do now?
Yeah, I mean, if you ever get it like in round 1, it is good that like they have to play the bounty on their guy, roll their guy, and resolve, so you can like play around it in round 1. But round 2, that could still suck if you're like, okay, now I have to like give you a resource like in round 2. That's pretty good.
So it actually gets much worse than what you just stated. So imagine at the end of round 1, I've put the closing in on your guy, and I then claim the battlefield. If I roll in and show damage and you give me the resource, I can hit your guy again and then put the closing in on him again.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have to give me your other
round.
Yeah, because it exhausts itself to put it on. So it wouldn't be exhausted when I got it. It would have been untapped because of the action phase. So then I could hit you again and throw it back on. So then I could take both your resources.
Yeah, that's dirty.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that's a little terrifying.
Yeah, that's real annoying.
I think if you think about this as just like a 2-point plot in comparison to some of the other ones we've had for these bounty hunter pairings, I think this is better than what we have.
Yep, yeah. I agree. Like, no one cares. Well, people care about Double Down, but I don't. And Enemies Necessary, I just don't think was good enough. But, like, you take what you got. I think this is a much better play, and Asajj and Dengar would be proud to have it.
Yeah, and you can probably play 3 bounty hunters. Cool.
Well, only the unique bounty hunters get the reduction.
Right, but can you play like Zuckuss and Dengar and like a single die something?
Zuckuss and Dengar's 12 and 13, so that'd be 23, and then a 7. Then you have to afford this 4 though.
Yeah, so, can I play like Dengar and then 2 other bounty, like a single die Dengar seems like pretty sweet with this.
And like Greedo for 6 maybe is decent.
Yeah.
All right, I hate you people. You guys maybe can look this shit up. I can't spell Dengar.
You can definitely make it work. I don't know how many dice.
All right, so Dengar's 10 for 1 point for 1 die.
Yep.
We know Greedo's 7, and like that one's kind of good there.
So that would be like. So that's 15 plus 4, and then you have 11.
So 17 for the 2 of them at 1, and then you could get Zuckuss at 12 and this plot.
Does that work?
Yeah, because they're each reduced by 1, and then the plot would only cost 1, so you'd be at 30.
Yeah, 12, 7, and 10. Yeah. Okay, there you go. 3 die, all yellow, really shitty characters. Let's go! Elite Zuckuss.
Elite
or Elite Dengar, it doesn't matter, yeah.
Oh, man. The Zuckuss special doesn't even do anything with it either.
Right, because it doesn't trigger when you kill the character.
Yeah. Forlom doesn't get to put it in its hand either. What do I do with this plot in my hand? All right. Any last notes on this, guys? I think that one there's not much to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems cool.
Okay. This may be one of my favorite cards, and it's not the greatest, but it's just because I'm a dirty hooker when it comes to these things. Rescue Han Solo. It's got a picture in the Carbonite, I think. I'm going to assume that because I really don't know. I've never watched it, so sorry, guys. Don't cut me. The plot is 2 points. Elite, 3 points. Team up 1. So we're talking freebies, maybe. Chewbacca, Lando Calrissian, Leia Organa, and Luke Mother Effin Skywalker. 4 people on here. Team up 1. Action. Play a card from your hand with a cost equal to the number of resources on this plot. Its cost cannot be decreased. Then place 1 resource on this plot, and if it has 5 resources, flip it and exhaust it. Here's the interesting part. The flip side, Han Solo, cool and confident, 12 health, 10-13 for points. He's parallel for the Han Solo from Awakenings. So 2 ranged, 3 range for a resource, 2 disrupt, resource, blink. I almost said focus. Piloting. After you activate this character, remove a resource from him to gain a resource. After this character is defeated, lose all of your resources. Each opponent gains that many resources. Go ahead,
That's
guys.
great.
Yeah.
Well, the team up, first of all, is very good, right? Like, you could just add this randomly to, like, Lando Leia Mill, and, like, if you pull it off as a bonus, you just get a 12-point body.
Yeah. So if Lando dies first, you're like, I got this Han Solo to help me out.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's pretty cool. I like the team up abilities on some of these cards.
The thing I didn't realize until just now, though, was that if we play... Oh, no, you can't decrease it with upgrades. Never mind. It already says it. I was like, yo, we play an upgrade and we'll overwrite, bro. Oh, no, we can't do that.
This does seem pretty hard to pull off.
0-1 is easy.
For sure.
It's the 2-3-4 is like, how did we get there? And everything I can picture in my mind just like involves droids and like 6 resources worth of stuff. Because then I have enough resources for everything.
The 4 is really tough, I think.
Yeah, what is a 4 that you could play?
Millennium Falcon.
The Legacies one, yeah.
Admiral.
Ooh, that's flavor.
But the fact that you can't reduce it really stinks, because then you can't use Lando for anything. Like, why is he even on here?
You can use the Lando, you just don't get to do it off of that action, right? Like
That's what I
yeah.
Man, I'm trying to think, like, what would be 3 and 4 that you would run? 0-1-2 is easy enough. Like
3 would be Entourage, maybe.
Yeah, that's fair. The 4 is just a tough one. 4 is just such a weird number.
It's not a lot of good cards in the 4 cost range.
Vibro Cutlass, no discount. Darksaber, no discount.
Yeah.
Yeah, Falcon's good, I think. Yeah. It's because it's hero. There's some stuff in like villain that's like okay.
Yeah, you'd be like Grand Moff, here we go.
Yeah.
If you're using the team up, right, and you're playing 2 15-point characters, then Darksaber doesn't do anything, right? Because technically they're 14-point characters.
Correct. So it's like, I was looking at that one point, and I was like, all right, we can go Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, and I think I was thinking of Hoth Trooper at some point, but I think I'm mistaken now.
Now, do you if you're going all the way, you might as well just play this at Elite, right? Like,
Yeah,
because then you get Elite Han.
Indeed. Yeah, if you're playing this, you have to go it that way. I don't think you get to choose to do something else realistically, unless it's just like a random you got there. It's just gonna be all about the 3 and the 4 and which way you go with it. Like, because you can't get the discount, you don't really care. You don't really want to do upgrades. 3 could be just Chewbacca's blaster straight up.
That's true.
So it doesn't work with override.
Doesn't work with override because you can't. The cost cannot be decreased.
Yeah. With a cost equal to the number of So can you do the overwrite, like if you have like a 2 and then you overwrite into a 3 and have that count as your 1?
No, because it's action. It's action. I'm gonna play this card, and now it can't be decreased.
Okay.
That's why we're saying we can't. Yeah, like you have to actually just straight up play cards that do it, which makes kind of hard. But
yeah.
I definitely still plan to try to build and play it. My original concept with that is that you could run Pilot Luke plus Lando. So that's 29 points. They get brought down to 27, so then you could run this Elite. So then you just have Lando and Luke going, and Luke kind of just gets stuff going with his ships, and you try to get resources off Lando, like action into a Reap, grab the 4 for 2, play like a merchant freighter off of the action. Okay, we got the 1, we got the money back. Play a 2 after, or you're at 4 and like I don't know, do something else. But
yeah,
it's definitely possible I think at that point. And Luke with like escape craft seems insane. So like I have a whole deck list here. You guys ready? I lied.
This is the 2-hour podcast.
2-hour Joe talking about the deck he just built podcast.
I will say one thing is you don't necessarily have to play any of those characters, right?
Right.
But then you're paying 2 or 3 for this thing, and it's brutal.
It's much better when it's free.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There is one other thing to note. Is because you talked about this already, is if you decide to go Lando Leia, this is a mission plot, so you get covert missions.
Yep.
To tutor from your deck. So now you can just go find no answer.
It replaces Coaxium Heist, and it actually could potentially do something for you.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it
like
was a
tutoring's
mission.
insane.
And you can tutor for the 2. Ooh, buddy.
Yeah, so you could like play a 0, then action the 1 to get a 2, and be like, let's go. And I got a shield in the process. Fortunately, I don't get to run that with Lando and Luke. Makes me sad. Is there a 12-point red?
Good.
I could run it with Hera. Lando, Hera. Yeah, Lando, Hera, and then elite this thing.
Yeah, it just seems. It also it's a weird card because it just seems like if you get there, you're probably going to win the game, right? Like you just got like
Yes.
it's like if it's like a 3 cost plot. Like if you just do it for 2 and you get +10 and like I guess that's yeah, it just seems so good. Like if it works.
Yeah,
When it works every time.
you do have to remember that it exhausts itself, so the Han will come in tapped.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, you're just like, this is okay. This dude's just 12 health. But yeah, so forget Rescue Han Solo. How about just running actual Han Solo? How do you feel about this, guys?
13 points for 12 health is pretty monster. I mean,
Yeah, and his die is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like he's got the pay. They've realized that pay sides are actually kind of sucky. But yeah, I mean, a three pay side and like those 2 disrupts early on are super annoying for your opponent.
didn't this dice cost like 18 points in Awakenings?
Yeah, and if you played an ambush, you got a shield. It was the same amount of health, I think. Or he might.
Yeah.
No, he had 10 health. He had 10 health to start, I think.
10 health, yeah.
There is the drawback, obviously, though, which is once they defeat him, you lose all your resources and they gain that same amount. So, like, that's a concern. But he did gain piloting. So, like, is he the new better guy than Sabine? Do you just run him?
Oh, definitely. He's got 2 extra health, right? And a much better dice.
Yeah. 2 extra health, 2 single resource sides, a crazy 2 disrupt side to harass the opponent before, Poe decides to go in and pilot his own ship or whatever's going on to try to pump it.
Yeah.
If they go for him, you just like start ejecting stuff. You're like, let's go.
And he's obviously a scoundrel, which is good.
Yeah. So like, I think he might be the best standalone card we've seen. Forget the whole flipping thing. Like he's just, it's. I think he's gonna be kind of broken and insane. And like if someone gets the bust, like I guess action G kill him at the top of a round, and then like sure. But for 13 points, it's really hard to ask for more than this. And anyone wondering how you get these resources, he maintains the resources from the plot. So if you did do the plot into him, then he'd have 5 resources to try to grab over time.
Yeah, which is silly.
I have to check on Mobilize. Mobilize could be a good 3-cost one to go straight into the 4. You mobilize, you action the 3. You now have 4 resources. You now play action the 4 and flip and go. And that one's a little scary.
Well, that's the deck. That's the deck right there.
You heard it here first. Just need the 4.
Need the Falcon. Falcon. It's just flavor wise, it works.
I'm trying to think like what else, right? So if we're doing that, we can go what? Lando plus that elite would be 17 points. So we can go like Elite Hera. She has piloting. Lets you do like the flanked by wingmen to grab shields and all that stuff. And you can eject for the her if you want to save her. You reap into the money. So I think there's just some crazy shenanigans you could definitely just kind of rip off with this deck. And I'm going to sit there and go build it soon.
All right, you want to move on to the next
All right,
plot?
so now we're getting to plot section, guys. Finally, some crazy shenanigans. Choose your destiny. Infinite format only. Choose 3 sets. You can only include other cards on your team and in your deck from those 3 sets. After you play a card, if you played cards from all 3 sets this round, flip this plot. The other, and this was -1, so your team building got cheaper to do this 3-set thing. The other side's called I Will Not Turn. It's still the plot. Your dice cannot be turned by opponents. Before the round ends, gain 1 resource. After an opponent plays a card, if they played cards from 3 different sets this round, flip this plot. You guys take this. I don't know what this infinite shit is.
This like hurts my head in a lot of ways because you have to like choose 3 sets, and so like that they have to keep track of the sets. All right, I've played 1 set here. Let me put my set marker on, and I'm just like, oh, what do you like? It's like a tracking nightmare.
Yeah.
The opponent plays 3 different cards, but doesn't know that like they played the 3 different set cards. So then like it never flips back, and then you're like, judge, and like where do you come from? Where do you go?
Yeah. So
Even just building your team seems difficult with this because you're playing with 31 points. Then you have to pick which 3 sets you want to play with. I mean, just right there, I think that's pretty difficult.
Now forget that. Go above and beyond. What about the reprints? What if you just didn't have the card from that set, but you had the reprinted card?
That's a good point. Yeah, if you're playing with like boss, but you don't have the new one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be kind of easy because you would just be like, oh, it's in this set, right?
Correct, but the symbol's different. So let's say you're only looking at symbols for cards you've played, but you've played 2 from the same set that the lot is from. It's harder to pay attention to. Like I don't know what the pictures look like.
I think I think that would be harder for when your opponent plays cards because then they're just like, all right. I think that like you would just know you would have three different sets, right? And if it was different, what's confusing though is if you wanted to play the set like intimidate from one set, but you have the other one. And but you're actually playing intimidates.
You're playing both of those. You're playing both of those sets. Yeah,
it hurts my head.
So I think you would have to play the card from the set and not play one of the reprints.
I think you do.
Like in theory, this is already infinite format only, so that it's out the window where you have to take standard into consideration as like, oh well, what if I want to play an old set one? But that should be fine. No, this is infinite. Shut up. So I think that's interesting, but then like also. Keeping track of your opponent not cheating you by accident. They played with 4 sets. Like this random card they played was just from a set you didn't even rationalize.
You have to keep track of what your opponent's playing. Like, oh, all right,
yeah.
Make sure.
No, but here's where it gets weird. The battlefield, bro. The battlefield has to be from one of the 3 sets.
But that's not a card that they played, right? So.
It's not a card that they play, but I mean, like, for your deck construction, the battlefield has to be from one of the 3 sets. So what if the person grabbed the battlefield and just didn't take the 3 sets into consideration? So then, like, you don't even notice, and then dude gets, like, top cut, and then someone's like, your deck's illegal, sorry, bro. And it's like, yo, but this easy pickings and Vader is the greatest thing ever. That happened in Florida. That's yeah.
This seems like a card that someone designed, like, on Reddit. And we're just like, oh, check out my card. It's super, like I love crunching numbers and only like having 3 sets, and then like it's just this card is just, I like building decks, but man, like there's just so many things, so many possibilities of crazy stuff you can do. Not that it's crazy, but you just have to like think about so many different combinations. Where you're just like, all right, now I have to think about 3 seeds. All right, now we're gonna take those 2 of those sets. We're gonna do a different set. We're gonna do a different 3rd set. And you do that ad nauseum between all the sets, so it's just, I don't know. I think this card might actually kill someone because their brain will burst. They'll spend like all night thinking about all the possibilities, and
The worst part is when you finally did it and the opponent just plays 1 card because they've already played 2 other ones and they flip it back because you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like playing 30 card decks for a reason, so I don't have to like think about such things. It doesn't strike me as super elegant, although I mean it's kind of cool. I kind of get what they were doing. It might. So as far as good, it might just be completely busted. Like getting a free resource every turn. Like, sure.
It is at the end of the round, and there is just that whole scenario where it's just like I've played 3 cards or my opponent's played 3 cards and it's probably from enough different sets. Once I've reached it, though, if I do play the 4th card, I could flip it back again. I think it'll be primarily used, if anything, for just the neg 1. And then from there, you just have to make sure your opponent didn't cheat you. And, like, it's so hard.
Yeah, the tracking, I just don't like the tracking. All the tracking you have to do. Your opponent plays 3 different set cards. Like they're just going to do it naturally without even trying.
If they play 3. No, well, you got to think, like, For the most part, you'd have to almost be me at that point. How many people actually play 3 cards from their hand in a round?
Well, I know, but then like you have to like track it through different rounds, right? So,
No. It's per round.
If they play cards, this. Oh, okay, yeah.
No. Yeah. It's not once you've played the 3 different set cards. It's in this one round.
It's not as much of a tracking nightmare as I thought it was.
I didn't realize you were trying to track through multiple rounds. I would have told you to quit while you're behind, bro.
Yeah, it's like just round to round.
I still think it's still like, all right, I played this one card. All right. And it does present an interesting thing for you if you're playing this card. Be like, all right, I'm gonna wait until he empties out his hands. Be like, yeah.
Well, you could just play the first 2 cards and wait for the 3rd one, or be able to play the 4th. But like once they've lost 3, that's it, right?
Well, this card seems actually really good for a mill deck. Because I'm just like, yes, please play all your cards.
That's true. And the extra resource helps a lot in not being able to turn your dice off discard.
Yep. Thanks, FFG.
Yeah, good luck building your mill deck out of 3 sets. You know how long you're going to sit on the DB trying to look at 3 separate sets? Like,
you have to think about while you're building your deck, you have to like balance it on the sets so you can play the 3 to flip it.
Yeah. This is a logistical nightmare.
Well, I think it's not that hard. You just like try to pick 2 characters, right, for your mill deck, and then you have 31 points, and then you only have those 2 sets. Or you could try to find like a set with like 2 mill characters on the same set, and then you have 2 other sets for the cards.
Yeah, sure, but here's the issue. You're playing mill in infinite, or whatever deck in infinite. So you're like, oh, how many sets do I have? 9 to choose from. Good luck. And like you're just like, all right, well, I can't splash into the really old sets for like singleton cards. That's fine. You're almost playing like cracked out block here.
Yeah.
You're just
probably want like the base sets because those have the most cards with like the starters, convergence, and legacies.
Yeah, it's just like it's just such a weird situation. But you know what you could play with that? Droids.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like the droids are from the same set, and then you just only have like events and upgrades from the other 2 sets in the set it came from, and then you're like jackpot. And you don't even care about the flip at that point. You just wanted the neg 1 so you could like fit guys in properly. You're like 3PO's back to his regular points. All right, let's go to the next one. United. Include only if each character on your team is the same color. After an opponent removes 1 of your dice, you may roll it into your pool. Set this plot aside, or if it's elite, flip it instead. Its cost is 0. Its elite cost is 1. So, monocolor decks, you finally get your time to like get some free pluses. Unless you're Raylo, you don't get nothing. You get to, one of my die got removed. I'll put it back. If you were a 29-point deck, cool. Now you can flip it. Flip side, we stand. No cost, so you can't play it as this regular. After an opponent removes 1 of your character dice, you may spend 2 resources and discard 2 cards from your hand to ready that character. Set this plot aside.
Well then.
How do you feel?
Well, I like the fact that like you get like monocolor sort of like incentive, or just like a freebie. You're like, okay, you played only monocolor, so we're gonna give you this card.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. I like that. And then like you pay for 1, set this plot aside, or if it's flip it instead. So like if your opponent if you're paying it for 1 and your opponent removes your dice, nothing happens except that you flip it.
No, you get the die back.
Yeah, you get both.
Who's on your dice in your 1? Set this plot aside, or if it's elite. Okay, I see. Okay, so you all right. So then, like the next time they remove your die, then you can like ready your guy.
Yeah. So the first one could save any die. It doesn't have to be a character die. But yeah, on the flip side, it's then okay if you removed my character die, I spend 2, discard 2, and untap my dude, and then I lose this plot. Paying 2 to untap your guy and losing 2 cards from hand is a little brutal, but like late game, you're like suited up. This is how the game ends.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it seems very powerful and really annoying. I don't like this card from a design perspective because like the whole game is based off of mitigating dice, and like I feel like this card, it's like one of those cards that I always hate saying this, but it's either going to be too good or terrible.
It's only one die back, so it kind of craps your opponent's first piece of mitigation in concept. It's like a reroll instead of a removal.
Right.
But you did have to go mono, so that they gave you just a little bit extra to go mono.
Okay. I guess that's all right because then you do have to pay one, and then you have like, okay, I am playing the We Stand Together deck or whatever We Stand deck.
Yeah, so then at that point they just don't mess with your die unless you have 2 or less resources or 2 or less cards in. I mean, less than 2 cards in hand. Less than 2 resources, less than 2 cards in.
I think you'd take that.
What happened?
I said that's also good for you if you like. It kind of prevents them from. Like, they have to wait to mess with you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. It's just, but the other thing is your team had to be 29 points at that point.
Right.
So it's like,
I think this is really good as a 0, just to like get a small boost to 30-point monocolored teams.
Yep. And if you happen to be 29, you're like, all right, cool beans.
Yep. We'll try to rock the Super Saiyan untap. I mean, it is 2 cards, and it's, like you're right. It is a pretty steep, like 2 cost 2 resources. So a lot of people like late game is like realistically like the only time it'll really matter.
Yeah, they will smush you late game if you like remove a character die, because you're just like, oh, I rolled out first, and then you ate a die, and you're like, I'm gonna pitch these 2 cards and these 2 resources and untap and smash you with these dice and then roll them back in. It's just the point costing is where it kind of gets brutal. Like a lot of the mono setups, if you're kind of looking at them, tend to like make themselves as 30-point teams. Yep. Like 16-14, 17-13, 12-18. But even then, it's just like it's a little weird for some of the setups. But all of a sudden, you're like, yeah, Yoda 2 plus Ahsoka. Here's this United We Stand thing, and you're just like, oh no, like big Yoda with the 4-for-1 shield and the 3 melee. Like, oh my god, what am I gonna run into now? Like,
yeah.
Anything else you guys can think of?
No, we can get to the battlefields.
Very last card. I should probably have turned this sideways. No way to do
this. You want me to read it?
No, I can read it.
You got it?
It's Mortis, Dayside, Ethereal Space. After the upkeep phase begins, heal 1 damage from each character. Flip this card. Claim. Heal 1 damage from a character. You may flip this card. The opposite side is Mortis Knight, Ethereal Space. After the upkeep phase begins, deal 1 damage to each character. Flip this card. Claim. Deal 1 damage to a character. You may flip this card. So, both sides are after the upkeep phase, either AoE heal or AoE damage to everybody, including your own. And the claim is to just do 1 from a character, and then you may flip. Go ahead, Kyle. You take this one. We know you love the crazies.
I feel like this is very good for mill, right? Because you can kind of keep it on the heal side if you're claiming quick enough, and just keep healing your characters for 1 each round.
But if you don't get to keep the battlefield, then your opponent can bash you with it every round.
For sure, yeah. You'd have to be really fast. It's definitely an interesting card. I feel like if it just goes back and forth, right, it doesn't really do anything. It's just up and down.
Kind of. Well, because it's a May flip on the claim.
Right.
So you like, okay, everyone takes 1, and then you're like, claim, that guy takes 1. I'm not going to flip it. Or, sorry, it would already have to be on the heal side at that point.
It's weird.
Yeah. So you just claim and keep AoEing your mill opponent would be interesting. It would suck for 3-wides, right? Like 3-wide all of a sudden got hit for 3 is like, ugh. But the heal for 3 is like, all right.
That's what I'm saying. It's unless like you time the damage correctly, it's really staying flat.
Yeah.
Big Palpatine, baby. He's got a battlefield. Unlimited.
Oh, the one Palpatine one?
Yeah,
no.
The one Palpatine.
This is better if you can spread damage. Like, Afra, I think, would enjoy this. Where if she's like, all right, we're all taking 1 guys, and then all of a sudden you're like, we're all going to heal my own guys 1 guys. I successfully killed whatever guy. No, if they successfully, like, kill 1 guy off, then they heal 1, you heal 3.
But the thing is that like Afra's in direct deck, so they're just like, oh, I'll heal one from all my guys, and then you're like, God damn it! And that deck doesn't claim very fast, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, but Afra would get to heal as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this card does not seem great to me, but it is interesting. I think I like the flip battlefield thing, and I'm assuming you get to choose which one you start with.
No, 1A. Right?
No, 1A again.
Oh, is it 1A?
Should be.
They saw me coming.
But I actually think it starts as night because it goes upkeep phase and then does day, I think. Unless that's at the end of the round.
No, day is... Well, yeah, so after the upkeep phase begins...
Is upkeep beginning of the round or is it the end of the round?
We gotta read the rules, right?
All right, let's go. Oh, that's not the rules reference.
So you have setup and then...
No, it's action phase, then upkeep phase.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's end of the round.
Okay, so you claim... So that's weird. So you claim, right? Then you heal one. Say, all right, we got claim, I heal one.
Yep.
And then at the...
Then you could flip it or not flip it, and then the other side will go off and then come back over again.
Right.
So you would start on day, you could claim it, heal your guy, flip it to night, deal 1 damage to everybody, and then it's day again.
Then it's day.
So you could, if you were successfully fast enough, you could continue to heal one of your guys while AoEing everybody.
I mean, I would hope that was something you could do. So, I mean, I think it could be good if you're like super fast, right? And then you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna balls to the wall, and you probably want to be like a 2-character deck.
I was looking at Grand Moff and I was like, "What? How's this work with Grand Moff?"
Oh my god, yeah. Then you definitely control which side is up.
Yeah. Your opponent's like claim. Now we'll flip that back over. We'll heal. There you go. There's your mill deck. Villain mill.
And then there's also you also have the there's cards that let you use the claim ability.
Cody, you do Cody special. You're like, oh, flip it. But like that just feels weak. When you probably just want to get a resource and draw a card or something. But like with Moff, you probably still want to get a resource and draw a card or like mill them too. But it at least there the heal AoE for three guys makes sense. If you can move.
Yeah, but it's just so you see. The thing is it's gonna present so many weird situations. Like if you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna claim it and then heal my guys, and it's better than whatever than my last 2 die I could have, resolved that were crappy. Or maybe that's okay. I don't know. I just think it's bad.
Probably. We were just talking about his mill though, because his mill then you could heal a guy and then AoE heal and then heal your actually no we keep fucking that one up. Yeah, no, we could do that.
Right,
and then
so it's on day. Yeah. Then you claim leave it on day.
Yeah.
Heal. It flips to night. Then you claim deal 1. It flips to day. So you never get the AoE damage on you if you can keep claiming.
Yeah. And if you have Grand Moff, you just leave it on that side. You're like,
yeah, exactly.
If the opponent claims and flips it over, you're like, flip it back. Let's go. Oh man.
Okay, so I guess it's good that it's a day on the flip.
Yeah, that makes it maybe playable.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, then at the same time too, is if you're just claiming and healing your guys and AoEing everybody, it's just like, oh my god, this is frustrating.
And the game just goes forever.
No, not really.
If you're okay, so you claim it. It starts on day. You claim it. You don't flip it, and then the upkeep phase happens, and then it flips automatically.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can deal damage, and then flip it, and then you'll be in day, and then.
Yep.
Yeah. So you would continue to claim or Grand Moff it to make sure it's always in day at the end, so that you would heal your board as mill. As Afra, you're just probably looking for the damage AoE on everybody.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that that would trigger off of damage stuff. I can only think of Torment, which you probably don't care about. And then it doesn't work with bubble shields, which is unfortunate. Counterstroke maybe?
Something
that dice has to be in the pool then, right?
What happened?
That dice has to be in the pool then.
Correct. It's after an opponent deals damage, so it doesn't work either. Boo. All right, but that is the very last one.
Nice.
Any parting thoughts, guys? Any shenanigans?
I just think it's cool they came out with some new cards. Like, I think this print and play model has potential, and I hope they do some more.
I
agree, my friends. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know what the community is going to do, but I think they can get some ideas from this stuff too. So they might be able to like design, I would say better cards than they were going to, but just adds to that, thought process. Because there's a lot of things here that I'd never even thought about. Like when designing, I'm like, oh, like I think like using old dice was sort of like I thought about that as like, oh, we can just change the cards, but like making new ones, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. And as always, may the rolls be with you.
Yeah.
Deuces?
Deuces. It's been so long.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to show your support. If you want to become a patron, check out our Patreon. The link will be in the description. Thanks again.